is time. So, wonderful. Exciting. Cool, we're live on YouTube. Welcome everybody. So in today's video, we're going to be covering more of this sleep hypnosis audio program that we just put out this morning for everybody in the Facebook group and everybody out there on the internet who is interested in it. If you check in the comment section of the YouTube video, you can see the links to that, to the downloads and the audio and the device and everything like that. I've also put together a really fantastic 4-minute video that shows you the whole step-by-step process on how to actually get easily get an MP3 onto this little device. We don't sell it, so it doesn't come pre-loaded or anything like that. That would probably make it cost like $200 if we did that. So we're just letting you, again, it's like I went to go get blueberries this weekend and they had the option to buy blueberries that were already picked, or you could go into the blueberry patch and pick your own blueberries. That's what my wife and I opted to do. And we picked some incredible blueberries that were really delicious and fresh, and we finished them within a day or something like that. I think it was like 2 or 3 pounds, a little bit of a discount because we were the ones doing some of the work. So that's kind of the concept here. But before we go into it further, I do want to do the simultaneous squeeze. So let me just timestamp it here. So it's 6-0 simultaneous squeeze. Boom. Cool. So what we do for the simultaneous squeeze is we all take a deep breath in, and then we take a sip of air at the top, and then you hold it and you squeeze it with your chest, your diaphragm muscles, and your stomach. So you go like you're trying to blow out a balloon, okay? And you'll hold that for 5 seconds. It's going to give you a rush of acetylcholine to your brain, and you're going to feel really good and amazing. So ready? In 3, 2, 1, breathe in. Sip of air. Hold and squeeze. And slowly exhale. And you should feel a lot cooler and calmer and more relaxed. That's a big, what we would call a rush of vagus nerve endorphins into your brain and into your body. The more you do it, the better you get at it. So if it is your first time in doing the simultaneous squeeze, that's okay. Like I said, practice makes perfect when it comes to this particular methodology. So let's crack into this. In terms of the key things to know here, let's just start with just a brief introduction and talk a little bit more about what it is that is going on. So as far as the sleep hypnosis, I've already received a bunch of questions about it from clients and non-clients alike, people in the Facebook group. What is this all about? Well, generally speaking, the whole reason I created this really came from a personal need, which is that in our overstimulated brains, sometimes at nighttime, it's like your brain can get almost semi-addicted to technology and to stimulation. And there are some nights, can I be authentically honest with you guys? Some days I'm at my computer for sometimes 6, 8, 10 hours a day because I do a lot of work through the internet. I don't use my hands to go pick blueberries for a living, but some days I kind of go, honestly, that might not be a bad idea. I've considered, just going and living on a farm or something like that at some points in my life, but ultimately I think it's a little bit too late for me to go down that life path, but better late than never, right? But anyway, a lot of my work does involve social media and being on a computer and being on my phone a lot. So there are some times at nighttime at about 10 p.m. where my brain is so wired from stimulation that it's sometimes I have a tendency to I say you guys shouldn't do it, but there are some times where I kind of can't help but like bring my phone into my bedroom and just play some stuff in the background, right? We've all done it. I hope you haven't lost any, confidence in me as a human being, but I've had some days where I've brought my phone into my bedroom, mostly to play stuff in the background. Usually it's just like when I was a kid, when I was really, really young, I actually used to listen to AM radio really late at night, like talk radio shows. There's just something about hearing the voice of people like radio announcers speaking that for me is just something about it is kind of soothing. So that kind of developed a habit for me. Now, that definitely affects sleep in a negative way in some ways because, again, sometimes on a phone there's ads, sometimes you can't find the right video, so you play something. I don't know. It's just never a certain thing. But there have been moments in my career when I've been able to live in different places in the world where there's different expectations and things provided. There was one time where I lived in Silicon Valley near Stanford and, Menlo Park, Palo Alto region in just south of San Francisco in California, Northern California. Beautiful city. Love it. Besides all the homelessness and all the drug addiction. Still beautiful places. There was a lab that I worked at where a Japanese consortium visited and they wanted us to test out this bed that they created that was a sound bed. And it had speakers embedded into the very bottom of it. And it was these kind of like large titanium. They claimed it was metal used in the Japanese space program. So it's a certain kind of a titanium steel alloy. And it looked pretty sci-fi. I mean, you look at it and it was like iridescent colored and it was a bizarre looking metal. I've never seen anything like it, truly. And it had these great resonance properties. Like if you flicked it with your finger, it would go bzz, like it would continue to ring. So it had these really nice metal properties, and it was literally from Japan. They flew it out all over to us. They said, we want you to test it. We want you to give us some feedback, and we want to see what this will do. So certainly that project landed on me because for whatever reason, I was the most available and on hand to, again, to want to and to be able to experiment with sleep. So I laid it out through 3 panels, about 6.5 feet long, so it fit my body pretty well. And then I would play through an iPhone or a laptop at night different types of music through this device. And I found these 8-hour audios that would play all night long from YouTube that would, it would be like 432 hertz for pineal gland activation. You find a lot of these things on YouTube. And so I would play those through this sound bed. And honestly, when I was doing that, it would cause me to fall asleep really fast. And partially it was because this bed would resonate actually physically into my body. So it wasn't just that there was sound playing in the air, it was that there was sound playing into my physical body, into my skin. And these Japanese researchers, they gifted this to us, so we had many months to play around with it. So for months I would go into the lab and actually fall asleep on this Japanese alloy titanium bed that they engineered. And I swear to God, something about that continuous process of having that music played to me overnight really made me sleep very deeply. So other people kind of noticed it. They're like, wow, Sterling, like there's just something that's different about you. Like what happened? And I told them that I was using this bed and they're like, keep on using it because something really good is happening. They could just tell, brain wise, energy wise, a lot of things they liked. So I learned from that experience that there are some things you can modify about sleep that can really enhance the experience. And so I've always kind of searched for, because I have a lot of clients. I have a lot of clients all around the world who use vagus nerve stimulation with ultrasound. And they find that stimulating their vagus nerve before bed with ultrasonic sound wave therapy to their vagus nerve really does help them go right to sleep within a few minutes. And they sleep really deeply throughout the night. And so I've always kind of like been involved in that sound therapy space for many years. So it turns out that isn't, creating a sound bed experience for people is a little bit prohibitive because the costs associated with shipping a big bed that has speakers embedded into it is actually pretty not efficient. It costs a lot of money to make and then a lot more money to sell. something like that might cost $6,000 to $7,000 to sell to people at a good estimate. So that's always kind of held me back from diving into that. But it's always kind of been in the back of my mind. And recently I was able to install one of those same bed units into my home and experiment with it. And I really like that vibratory experience when I'm going to sleep. It really does help. And so over the last few months, I've been going online and experimenting with these different types of speakers that are unique in their technological capability, in that they can play music and they have speakers that specifically vibrate music up through a pillow or up through your mattress, and that they actually cause a physical sensation in your body. So if you play the right music through it and you play the right type of what we call a hypnotic induction, right? So, all right, so I want you to focus in on your body for a moment, and we're going to just release any tension that's stored in your head, your jaw, your neck, your face, and just really go deeper and deeper into sleep. Right? So that's a hypnotic induction. So the combination of those two really creates a very powerful synergistic effect that's very supportive of the project that we're here to do, which is to help people from any walk of life be able to safely and affordably and effectively activate their vagus nerve. Because currently we live in a world that's very sympathetically dominant, meaning people are stressing themselves out all the time. So there has to be a better way. So what is that better way? Well, that's where I want to introduce the sleep hypnosis audio. So the sleep hypnosis audio is the culmination of, I would say, 4 years probably of research and work into looking at what is the best type of thing that can be done around the sleep project to enhance and deepen sleep, right? Because throughout all the years that I've been working in ultrasound, especially around the vagus nerve, because I've been working in ultrasound of the vagus nerve for 6+ years now. And I actually have experience with ultrasound neuromodulation going back for 12 years. So I have a lot of experience with stimulating the human body from a biomedical perspective. That's like my career. If you Google me, you'll be like, oh, wow, Sterling's been working in ultrasound for all of his adult life since his early 20s. So this is a natural space for me to be in. This isn't, it's not too far out of the wheelhouse. And I've done lots of self-study and lots of work with clients. Now, there was this one moment, which is very similar to a lot of clients that I've had over the years, where I had a friend I was visiting in Sedona, Arizona. And I tell this story a lot. It's, stop me if you've heard this one, but I won't stop. I was visiting a friend and staying at an Airbnb in Sedona, Arizona. Beautiful place, by the way, if you haven't been. Pretty expensive, but energetically worthwhile to visit. And he was like, Sterling, I've heard you talk about this ultrasound all the time. Can I try the ultrasound vagus nerve stimulation? And I said, sure. Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to let you try it. And so I thought, he's a younger man. He's not having a health challenge. He's not particularly probably very sensitive to the technology that we use. So I thought, we'll just stimulate his vagus nerve with ultrasound at a little bit higher power than what we normally start most clients. So I stimulated him at the orange setting for about 3 minutes, which is more than double what we start most people. And I thought, what's the worst that could happen? Now nothing, nothing terrible happened, but something notable happened. That's why I'm sharing the story. And, as is expected, once your vagus nerve is activated and you go into a parasympathetic state, you really start to relax pretty quickly. So he was like, wow, deep breath. I feel like I'm ready for bed. So I said, yeah, you should definitely go get ready for bed. You have about 15 minutes from right now until the time where you're going to be ready to just pass out. So go take care of your thing. I had some work I had to do, so I stayed up for later. I end up going to bed later, and I wake up to this knock on my door. Separate part of the house, this big mansion place. And he's like, Sterling, wake up. Are you awake? And I was like, yeah. And well, he woke me up basically. So I went to the door, I opened it. I was like, what's up? And he's like, oh my God, man. So I got to tell you, something crazy happened. I just had the most insane, vivid dreams of my life. And I was like, tell me more. And he says, it was like I lived different lifetimes. I was born, I lived an entire life, and then I came to some tragic end. I died in a car accident. I died of natural causes. And then I was reborn as a baby, and then I lived a life. And he said this happened like 20 distinct times. So the stimulation of his vagus nerve caused him to access like different realities in his body from his memory or whatever, or, who knows what's going on with that. That can be a consistent effect from the first time that people do activate their parasympathetic system. And he got really, really relaxed because, I was talking to him for a few minutes and I was like, what's that smell? And he's like, oh yeah, I think I pissed my pants too. I was like, yeah. Well, you should go clean up. We'll talk about it in the morning. Get back to sleep, and we'll check in again. And so a notable experience for sure in just a normal, healthy, young subject. Typically, the people that I tend to work with are usually 40, 50. They have a consistent, obvious need for vagus nerve stimulation. From a health perspective, there was nothing about him where I would have said, you have a vagus nerve issue, you should use vagus nerve stimulation. I don't ever push anything on anybody. People have to have a clear indication for the usage of VNS in my world. But if you want to use it recreationally, it's pretty safe. It's side effect free. If you're that young, yeah, you might, if you use ultrasound vagus nerve stimulation and you're like 20 years old and you're really healthy and you go to bed with a full bladder and your vagus nerve is so relaxed that you get super relaxed in bed, it is possible that you might piss your pants. Okay. That is, again, the ability to pee is a downstream process that's also regulated by the vagus nerve. So that doesn't, it makes sense that would happen. So anyway, but the whole reason that the sleep hypnosis audio was created is because I know how important sleep is to people. I know how much their lives can improve from getting good sleep. So this is a natural, probably a 4-year-long process or a project that I've really consistently been working on in the back. And I feel like now is the time where we've really perfected it. It's the combination of the right type of technology, the right timing, and the right resources and materials that can go onto the technology. So it's really kind of an all-in-one vagus nerve centric solution. And it's also just because there's nothing like this out there in the world right now. And the only things that even come close are these really expensive, massive head-mounted units that you wrap around your head that cost like $300 that have Bluetooth electronics stuck all around your head. And the only way they work is if they Bluetooth pair to your phone. And all of us who are in health know that you shouldn't be strapping Bluetooth radios to your head while you're trying to sleep. So I would never encourage people to strap a piece of technology to their head like that requires Bluetooth radios to work. So really, this ability to do this is really enabled by this particular credit card sized device that's linked in the document on how to set this up, that is Bluetooth free. So there's no connection to a Bluetooth speaker or Bluetooth anything with this device. It plays all the audio locally. It's got a battery on it. There's no emission of any electromagnetics out of the device. It's all a self-contained thing. So you can safely put it under your pillow with that space, not touching your head. And all it does is it plays music that resonates through the material of your pillow. I estimate it probably works a little bit differently depending on the thickness of your pillow. So if you're using a memory foam pillow, that can change it a little bit versus a cotton pillow, right? But it's going to work for the most part very similarly because there has to be some medium in between the device and your head. So that is why this is out right now. Now let's talk a little bit about the first part of the hypnotic induction. So as far as the hypnotic induction is concerned, what is on it, and I had a great question from a client who I absolutely admire and respect deeply. And she had a really honest question for me. And I thought it was worth answering. She asked, isn't hypnosis some kind of like a pagan thing, or is there anything demonic about it? And I take questions like that very seriously because I know we live in a day and age where there's a lot of really demonic shit going down in the world, right? I'm not unwise to the stuff that's going on, okay? I remember the guy Epstein and what the powers that be do. So I can understand that when you hear the word hypnosis, that some of the alarm bells might be going off and thinking, uh-oh, I don't want to be part of no weird voodoo magic shit. I totally get that. I have absolutely not an inkling of questioning where that question comes from at all. However, I did respond in this manner, which is that hypnosis, the root word for hypnosis, is hypnagogia, which is a Greek term that really just represents a certain state that exists between complete wakefulness and sleep. So hypnagogia is this kind of intermediary state where your brain is a little bit more suggestible. That's it. Your brain is slightly more suggestible to affirmations. And that's really what this sleep hypnosis audio is it's a series of carefully selected affirmations to allow your brain to communicate with your body and to your vagus nerve to tell your body that everything's going to be okay, that it's safe to go to sleep, and that there's a usefulness to sleep as deeply as possible, right? Because if we're in a sympathetic fight or flight mode, it's really difficult for the body to relax. Because if you're stuck in sympathetic fight or flight dominance, then what starts to happen is your brain and your body will not allow you to go to sleep because it thinks that if you sleep deeply, then something bad is going to happen and you're going to regret it. That's essentially what kind of insomnia is about at some base level of understanding. That is what insomnia, or the inability to fall asleep, is about, is taking your guard away in sleep and feeling unsafe to go to sleep deeply. So that becomes a problem. That's useful if, there's a real present threat, but day to day, you can't live like that. So there have to be moments, there have to be nights where you really do say, all right, God, I have full faith and trust that I'm going to be able to sleep so deep and restore myself spiritually, mentally, emotionally tonight so that I can wake up and live to die another day. You have to have that ability. And so all hypnosis is doing is inducing a hypnagogic state and then providing affirmations to your brain and your body, to your subconscious mind, to say that, hey, there's a reason and there's a purpose for us to go to sleep. Primarily is because processing your memory is a key part and key responsibility of sleep. That's why we're time-stamped here in processing memory for better sleep. So when you process memory for better sleep, what you're doing is you're recalling usually about 10 distinct moments from the day. Could be magical moments, could be repetitive moments, but you want to recant 10 specific locations or things. Could be as simple as I see myself brushing my teeth in the morning. I saw myself take a shower. I went and I drove to work. I went to the grocery store. I had a game. I went to a baseball game for my grandchildren and watched it, right? All of these moments need to be stored in the brain. And the metaphor we use here, which I think is really genius, and it's really utilized by some of the best researchers in memory, is that memory from the day should be loaded onto a train car in sequential order and then allowed to kind of shuttle down into a tunnel deep into your subconscious mind. And that's all the sleep induction is doing, is it's saying, okay, let's sequentially remember some magical moments from the day, envision it loading onto a train car, and then traveling deep into a dark tunnel. And the tunnel is under the Swiss Alps. It's going into a tunnel under a big mountain. That's the entry point of those memories, all the information from the day that needs to get processed and stored. Some of the things that happen in the day, you don't need to remember. Some of the things that happen in the day, you don't need to keep forever. But there are some things that you learned that day that you do need to deeply store in your body. You need to be able to process memory. That's the main part of sleep. And so that's what the first part of the hypnosis really is about. And you'll hear that from the very get-go. That is what we're going to cover in the first, I believe, 10 minutes is a memory sequencing induction, spoken in very soft tones with some amazing music that makes you feel really smart and really intelligent, like you're Einstein or Oppenheimer. And then it's going to continue on with the next process. And the next process is specifically going to be considered the body scan process. Body scan process is super straightforward. We all know body scan. Body scan simply says that we're going to start at our top of our head, focus on different parts of our body, our ears, our face, our eyes, our mouth, our lips, our cheeks, our neck, and just see any tension releasing in our shoulders, our arms, our back, our chest, right? Just going down. But the cool part of it is that we all know the body scan process, so it's not going to come as any like remarkably brand new thing. But the unique part of it is that where most body scan processes never include this, we're actually going to include the specific locations of where the vagus nerve goes. So we're going to include the thyroid, the voice, your ability to swallow, your esophagus, your stomach, your pancreas, your liver, your spleen, your gallbladder, your stomach. We're going to actually include in the body scan that's just already in the audio right now is a body scan to scan down the locations of where your vagus nerve actually goes, so that you're bringing, again, energy and attention to your spleen, which is the most important filtering organ in your entire body. If your spleen doesn't work, you don't have an immune system that works for you. You have an immune system that works completely against you if your vagus nerve is not communicating with your spleen. Again, that's an information processing center. Your brain isn't the only place where information must be processed. Your spleen has to decide, is this good or is this bad? And am I going to respond in kind, or am I going to overreact and cause a flood of inflammation throughout the night? So your spleen is just as much of an important processing center as one region of your brain, right? If your immune system is important, it should be treated as such. So the body scan process isn't just the superficial, your eyebrows, your nose, your lips, but it does include those. It's also going to include the whole process of your whole vagus nerve. So you're going to send good, positive body talk, emotion, regulation stuff into your body all the way through, down to your reproductive organs, down to your ghibli bits down there and everything. Nothing's off limits. We're going to really mention all things that are connected to the vagus nerve, and then continue down your legs, your knees, your calf muscles, your feet, the heels of your feet, the balls of your feet, and your toes, and then come all the way back up. So there's a really incredible, very detailed, very relaxing, hypnotic body scan process that goes through. Nothing pagan about it, guys. If you've ever done yoga, if you've ever done a meditation or anything like that, if you ever just centered into your body and gone, okay, I feel my body, I feel my breathing, it's really the same thing, right? So nothing nothing untoward about it. And then, also I'm mindful. So I am mindful of time. I actually do have my mother visiting me, which is really exciting. So I do want to wrap things up today a little bit faster than normal. So I'll just go a little bit quicker. I'll just say that at the 34:50 mark. So for those who want to try the sleep hypnosis audio, you can type in sleep into the chat. I'm not going to force any of this stuff on you guys. You don't have to try it at all. If you don't have any problems with your sleep, then you probably don't need to try this, but it could be fun to try. If any of the things I mentioned before make sense to you or resonate with you at all, then it's certainly worth trying. I will put the link to the blog post where you can go and listen to the sleep. So it's very simple. vegushub.com/sleep. That link contains all of the relevant information. There's a YouTube video that's got all of the audio that you'll listen to for the whole thing. It's, I believe, 67 minutes long, so it's fantastic. Then there's a second link in there, which is a button that says download the MP3. That's part of downloading it to the device. And then the last button is take me to the master document that teaches me everything I need to know about the device, the SD card, and everything, the whole process and how to get it set up. And look, guys, it also includes a video where I show you with my camera the SD card reader, the little SD card. You basically put it in, boop. You load it from your phone. It's a drag and drop click process. And then you take this little SD card and you put it into this sleep audio speaker, and then you're good. You'll never have to touch that stuff again. So you do it one time, and then you'll always know how to, again, is it a useful skill to know how to transfer a freaking file from one device to the next? I think so, right? So let this be a low stakes opportunity for you to practice and develop a useful life skill when everything is digital and we have to be able to transfer pictures, files, documents, PDFs, music files, MP3s from one device to the next. So this will actually teach you how to get something from your phone to an external storage medium. I would say skill-wise, I'd be like, when everything is digitized and my ability to pay rent or have a contract or send in a valuable document or a really important picture that I took on my phone onto a little external SD card could come in handy in my life, that should be a skill set that you should know. I mean, and I've had to go and teach my mom how to do that many times. So I made a video on everything you need to do, everything you need to know to do this. And I've already been able to check the dashboard. And I think we've seen about, just since we launched, we did a soft launch yesterday. And since this morning, I believe we've sold about, well, I can see how many people clicked the link to buy it. 30 of the sleep devices just in the last about 24 hours. So that's really cool. So like I've said before too, there is no guarantee that this little device has unlimited stock. So if you're waiting to just see, I don't know what you're waiting for. It's really cool. I give it my full stamp of approval. This is the yin to the yang of the hour of power, right? So I did my hour of power this morning. I put on my 20-pound weighted vest. I went for a walk. I did my hour of power, and it got me really uplifted. At nighttime, having an audio program that can help you go really deep. Again, that fluctuation. You don't want to be this like neutral, non-movable, non-optimal creature. You want to have range, emotional range, and emotional energy range too. So this is a great way to go deeper and deeper and deeper. And I've even had clients who they track their sleep with their Fitbit, and they show that they are sleeping 6 hours, but it's only very lightweight sleep. But then when they do something like ultrasound vagus nerve stimulation, that they still slept for 6 hours, but they slept deep, 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 and their device noticed it. Meaning that they're not tossing and turning all night, is that they're just like deeply still in bed and their body starts to recover. So we know for a fact that the more your vagus nerve is activated while you sleep, the more rest and recovery happens. So anyway, can't go on enough about how freaking awesome it is. But yeah, in conclusion, I'll just post this here. The conclusive takeaway is this: don't let another restless night pass you by. Take control of your sleep and unlock the potential for deep, lasting, and restorative rest with the power of hypnosis. Sweet dreams await. Ta-da! And then I would have some music, but I don't want to get copy striked by Facebook. So anyway, that will do it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm also going to end the live stream over on YouTube. So thank you guys for watching there. And I'll see you. I hope you guys get the resources you need. A lot of people asking about the device over on YouTube, which is awesome.